Every day, millions of people open the refrigerator, pull out yesterday's meal, place it in the microwave, and assume one thing: if the food gets hot, it must be safe. That belief sounds reasonable, but it is incomplete. Heat can kill many bacteria, but heat does not erase every problem that develops after food has already been cooked, cooled, stored, and then heated again. Some changes are biological, some are chemical, some happen slowly in the refrigerator. Others happen quickly when high heat strikes food a second time. Today I want to talk about 4 common foods that many people reheat without thinking: rice, chicken, leafy greens like spinach, and eggs. These foods are not bad foods. In fact, some of them are among the healthiest foods in a normal diet. The issue is not the food itself. The issue is what can happen when it is stored poorly, kept too long, or reheated too aggressively. This is important because long-term health is rarely shaped by one dramatic decision. It is shaped by ordinary habits repeated hundreds of times. Reheating leftovers is one of those habits. Most of the time, it feels harmless. But with certain foods, repeated heat, oxygen exposure, moisture, bacterial activity, and damaged fats or proteins can create compounds that researchers study for their possible effects on inflammation, oxidative stress, DNA damage, digestive health, and cancer risk. I am not here to make you afraid of your kitchen. I am not saying one leftover meal will cause disease. That would be irresponsible. What I'm saying is this: the way you cool, store, and reheat food matters more than most people realize. Small changes in food handling can reduce exposure to unwanted compounds and lower the risk of food poisoning. Those changes are simple, practical, and easy to apply. Stay with me until the end, because the 4th food is one that many health-conscious people meal prep every week and never suspect could be a problem when reheated the wrong way. Before we discuss the 4 foods, you need to understand the basic science. When food is cooked the first time, heat changes it. Proteins unfold, starches absorb water and soften, fats melt, flavors develop. These are normal cooking changes. But once cooked food sits, even in the refrigerator, it is no longer exactly the same food it was when it came off the stove. Oxygen keeps reacting with fats. Moisture redistributes. Bacteria may survive or grow if cooling is slow. Natural nitrates may be converted by bacteria. Then, when heat is applied again, the second heating can push these changes further. There are 3 main processes to remember. The first is oxidation. Oxygen can damage fats and proteins, especially after cooking. When those already changed molecules are reheated, they can form lipid oxidation products, including compounds such as malondialdehyde. These compounds are studied because they may contribute to oxidative stress in the body. The second is high heat browning chemistry. The same chemistry that creates roasted flavor can also create unwanted byproducts when foods are heated at high temperatures, especially repeatedly or until very browned. Examples include advanced glycation end products and, in some foods, acrylamide or heterocyclic amines. The amount formed depends on the food, temperature, cooking time, moisture level, and degree of browning. The third is nitrate and nitrite conversion. Some vegetables naturally contain nitrates. In fresh vegetables, nitrates are not automatically harmful. They may even support healthy blood vessel function. But after cooking and storage, bacteria can convert some nitrates into nitrites. Under certain conditions, nitrites can participate in the formation of nitrosamines, a group of compounds that has raised concern in cancer research. So the problem is not simply microwave equals dangerous or leftovers equal cancer. That is too simple and not scientifically fair. The real message is more precise. Certain foods need careful cooling, short storage, and gentle reheating, and some are better eaten fresh or cold after cooking. Food number 1 is cooked rice. Rice looks innocent. It is simple, cheap, filling, and used in almost every culture. Many families cook a large pot, leave it on the counter, and reheat portions for dinner, lunch, or the next day. The problem with rice begins before reheating. It begins during cooling. Raw rice can contain spores of Bacillus cereus, a bacterium that can survive normal cooking. Cooking may kill many active bacteria, but spores can remain. If cooked rice sits warm for too long, those spores can wake up, multiply, and produce toxins. Here is the key point. Reheating rice may kill bacteria, but it may not reliably destroy toxins that were already produced during unsafe storage. That is why people can get sick from rice that was reheated until steaming hot. This is usually discussed as a food poisoning issue, not primarily as a cancer issue. Symptoms can include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal cramps. But the broader lesson is important for long-term health. Cooked starches are not meant to sit slowly cooling for hours. Warm, moist food gives bacteria an opportunity. When that food is reheated, you may feel that you have reset the clock, but you have not. Rice can also develop more intense browning byproducts when it is repeatedly heated or fried at high temperature, especially in dry or oily conditions. Acrylamide formation is usually more associated with high-temperature cooking of starchy foods, particularly when foods become browned or crisp. Plain steamed rice reheated gently is not the same as rice fried hard until dry and browned, but if leftover rice is repeatedly pan-fried, overheated, or allowed to dry and brown, the chemistry becomes less favorable. The safer habit is simple. Cook rice in the amount you need whenever possible. If you have leftovers, cool them quickly. Do not leave rice sitting in a deep pot on the stove. Spread it into a shallow container so heat escapes faster. Refrigerate it promptly, ideally within 1 hour when possible, and never after it has been sitting out for several hours. Keep it cold, eat it within about a day, reheat only once, and make sure it is heated evenly. If rice smells unusual, feels slimy, has been left out overnight, or you cannot remember when it was cooked, throw it away. Rice is not expensive enough to gamble with your digestive system. Food number 2 is cooked chicken. Chicken has a healthy reputation for good reason. It is a lean protein, it is versatile, and it is a staple in fitness meals, family dinners, salads, wraps, soups, and school lunches. But chicken is also one of the foods most commonly cooked in bulk, stored for days, and reheated again and again. The first concern with chicken is basic food safety. Poultry must be cooked properly, cooled properly, stored cold, and reheated safely. Undercooked or poorly stored chicken can carry bacteria such as Salmonella or Campylobacter. Reheating can reduce microbial risk when done correctly, but uneven microwave heating can leave cold spots. A piece may feel hot on the outside while the center is not hot enough. The second concern is chemical. Animal proteins exposed to high heat can form heterocyclic amines, often called HCAs. These compounds are created when amino acids, sugars, and creatine or creatinine in muscle meat react during high-temperature cooking. Grilling, frying, broiling, and charring tend to create more HCAs than gentle cooking methods. Reheating chicken does not magically create the same risk every time, but reheating already cooked chicken at high temperature, especially until it becomes dry, browned, or scorched, can add more oxidation and more heat-related byproducts. There is also lipid oxidation. Chicken contains fat, even when it looks lean. Once cooked, refrigerated, and exposed to air, its fats and proteins continue to change. Reheating can accelerate oxidation, especially if the chicken was cooked in oil, stored uncovered, or reheated until dry. Oxidized fats and protein oxidation products are studied because they may contribute to oxidative stress and inflammation. Again, the risk depends on frequency, temperature, storage time, and overall diet. The practical solution is not to stop eating chicken. The solution is to stop punishing cooked chicken with repeated high heat. Store it in small airtight portions. Refrigerate it promptly. Use it within a few days following local food safety guidance. Reheat only the portion you will eat. Add moisture before reheating, such as broth, sauce, or a splash of water, because moist heat is gentler than dry heat. Heat it evenly and thoroughly for food safety, but avoid charring, crisping, or overheating it until it becomes rubbery and dry. An even better option is to use leftover chicken cold when appropriate. Cold chicken can work beautifully in salads, sandwiches, wraps, grain bowls, and lettuce cups. That avoids extra high heat exposure altogether. If you prefer it warm, use a covered pan on low heat with moisture, or a low oven until it reaches a safe temperature. Do not microwave the same container of chicken every day. Take some out, put it back, and repeat the cycle. One cooking, one safe reheating, then move on. Food number 3 is spinach and other nitrate-rich leafy greens. This is the one that surprises people who eat clean. Spinach is not junk food. It is rich in folate, magnesium, potassium, fiber, and protective plant compounds. Leafy greens are associated with healthier dietary patterns, and most people would benefit from eating more vegetables, not fewer. But nitrate-rich vegetables need to be handled correctly after cooking. Spinach, beet greens, Swiss chard, celery, arugula, lettuce, and some other greens naturally contain nitrates. In the body, dietary nitrates from vegetables can be converted into nitric oxide, a molecule involved in blood vessel function. That is why nitrates from vegetables are not the same as the public fear around processed meats. Food context matters. Vegetables also contain vitamin C, polyphenols, fiber, and other compounds that can change the chemistry. The concern appears after cooking and storage. Once leafy greens are cooked, their structure breaks down. Moisture increases on the surface. If the greens cool slowly or sit too long, bacteria can convert some nitrates into nitrites. When nitrites are exposed to certain conditions, including heat and acidic environments, they may contribute to nitrosamine formation. Nitrosamines are not something you want to increase unnecessarily. This does not mean fresh spinach is dangerous. It does not mean a spoonful of reheated spinach will harm you. It means the safest way to enjoy cooked nitrate-rich greens is fresh, soon after cooking, without long storage followed by reheating. The older the cooked greens are, the less appealing the reheating habit becomes. Here is the practical approach. Cook leafy greens in smaller portions. Eat them right away when possible. If there are leftovers, cool them quickly and refrigerate them in a clean, airtight container. Do not leave cooked greens sitting on the counter. Do not keep reheating the same batch through the week. For many people, the easiest option is to eat leftover cooked greens cold in a salad, grain bowl, omelet filling added after cooking, or side dish with lemon and olive oil. If you do reheat them, do it once, gently, and do not keep them for days. For babies and very young children, be especially cautious with nitrate-rich vegetables because their bodies handle nitrites differently than adults. Follow pediatric food safety guidance and speak with a qualified clinician if you prepare homemade foods for infants. For adults, the main message is moderation and handling. Leafy greens remain valuable foods. Just do not treat cooked spinach like a reheatable meal prep item that can sit for half a week and be microwaved repeatedly. Food number 4 is eggs. Eggs are one of the most complete everyday foods. They contain high-quality protein, choline, selenium, iodine in some diets, fat-soluble nutrients, and antioxidants such as lutein and zeaxanthin. They're affordable, quick, and easy to prepare. For many people, eggs are a smart part of breakfast or meal prep. But reheated eggs have two problems. The first is texture and digestion. Anyone who has microwaved scrambled eggs knows what happens. They become rubbery, dry, sulfurous, and unevenly hot. That texture change reflects additional protein denaturation and moisture loss. It does not automatically mean the food is toxic, but it does mean the food has been pushed further away from its freshly cooked state. The second issue is oxidation. Egg yolks contain fat and cholesterol. When eggs are cooked, some oxidation can occur. When cooked eggs are stored and then reheated, especially with high heat or direct microwave hotspots, oxidized cholesterol compounds, often called oxysterols, may increase. Oxysterols are studied because they can be pro-inflammatory in certain contexts and may have unfavorable effects on cells at high exposure levels. The amount formed depends heavily on temperature, time, oxygen, and cooking method. This is why powdered eggs, overcooked eggs, fried eggs held under heat, and repeatedly heated egg dishes deserve more caution than a freshly boiled egg eaten soon after cooking. It is also why reheating scrambled eggs in a microwave is not the best daily habit, especially if the eggs were cooked hard the first time. The safer option is to cook eggs fresh. They cook so quickly that most people do not need to meal prep scrambled eggs for several days. If you want eggs ready in advance, hard-boiled eggs are usually the better choice. Store them properly in the refrigerator, ideally with the shell on until you are ready to eat them. Eat them cold or let them sit briefly at room temperature just before eating if food safety conditions allow. Do not leave them out for long periods. If you must warm an egg dish, use gentle heat, a covered pan on very low heat, a warm water bath for certain preparations, or a low oven for an egg casserole is better than blasting it in the microwave until it squeaks. Heat only once. Avoid browning, drying, or scorching. And remember, egg dishes mixed with dairy, meat, or vegetables may have additional food safety concerns, so storage time and reheating temperature matter. Now let us step back and look at the bigger pattern. The 4 foods are different, but the principle is the same. Food changes after cooking. Rice can become risky when it cools slowly because Bacillus cereus spores may survive and toxins may form. Chicken can become less favorable when reheated with harsh, dry, high heat because protein and fat oxidation increase. Spinach and similar greens can become more chemically complicated after storage because nitrates may shift toward nitrites. Eggs can develop more oxidized fat and cholesterol compounds when cooked, stored, and reheated aggressively. None of this should make you obsessive. A healthy diet is not built on panic. It is built on patterns. If you occasionally reheat a small portion of leftovers correctly, that is different from eating the same overheated meal prep container every day for years. Frequency matters. Portion matters, temperature matters, storage time matters, your overall diet matters too. A person eating vegetables, fiber, fruit, legumes, whole grains, and varied proteins has a different risk profile from someone eating mostly charred meats, fried starches, and heavily processed foods. So what should you do starting today? First, cool leftovers quickly. This is one of the most important habits. Large, deep containers trap heat. Food may stay in the danger zone too long. Divide leftovers into shallow containers so they cool faster. Second, refrigerate promptly. Do not leave cooked rice, chicken, eggs, or greens on the counter while you clean, watch television, or go out. If it has been sitting out too long, do not try to rescue it with heat later. Third, store food airtight. Oxygen exposure drives oxidation. Airtight containers do not stop every chemical change, but they help reduce air exposure, moisture loss, and odor transfer. Fourth, reheat only once. Do not heat the whole batch, eat some, cool it again, then repeat tomorrow. Take out one portion, reheat that portion, and keep the rest cold. Fifth, use gentler methods. High heat, dry heat, charring, and repeated browning create more unwanted compounds than moist, controlled heating. Add water, broth, sauce, or steam. Cover the food. Stir it so heat distributes evenly. Sixth, respect safe temperatures. Gentle does not mean lukewarm. Foods that require reheating for safety should be heated evenly according to food safety guidance. The goal is not to underheat food. The goal is to heat safely without burning, drying, or reheating repeatedly. Seventh, plan smaller portions. The easiest leftover problem to solve is the one you never create. Cook less rice. Bake fewer chicken breasts at one time. Prepare fresh spinach in minutes. Cook eggs fresh. Portion planning reduces waste and reduces reheating. Eighth, know when cold is better. Leftover chicken can be eaten cold in a salad. Cooked rice can be used safely if it was cooled and stored correctly, but it should not be reheated multiple times. Cooked spinach can be eaten cold with lemon. Hard-boiled eggs can be eaten cold. Many leftovers do not need aggressive reheating to taste good. There is also a mindset shift here. People often think food safety means, does it smell bad? But many risks do not announce themselves with a smell. Bacillus cereus toxin in rice may not change the odor. Oxidation products may not be obvious. Nitrite conversion in greens is not something you can see. That is why systems are better than guessing. A safe kitchen system looks like this. Cook, cool quickly, store cleanly. Label the date, reheat one portion once, discard questionable leftovers. These steps are boring, but they work. I also want to be careful with the word cancer. Cancer risk is complex. It is influenced by genetics, age, immune function, tobacco exposure, alcohol, body weight, infections, physical activity, sleep, environmental exposures, and overall dietary pattern. No responsible clinician should tell you that reheating one food automatically causes cancer. That is not how biology works, but it is also not responsible to ignore food chemistry. Repeated exposure to certain compounds, especially over many years, may contribute to a less favorable internal environment. Reducing unnecessary exposure is sensible prevention. Think of it like sun exposure. One afternoon in the sun does not guarantee skin cancer, but repeated unprotected exposure over time increases risk. The smart response is not to fear the sun. It is to use shade, clothing, and sunscreen when appropriate. Leftovers are similar. You do not need fear, you need better handling. If you meal prep, this does not mean you must quit meal prep. It means your meal prep needs a smarter design. Cook foods that tolerate storage well and treat sensitive foods differently. For example, plain vegetables that are not nitrate heavy, beans, lentils, soups, stews, and many roasted vegetables can often hold up better than reheated spinach or microwaved eggs. Keep sauces separate when that helps prevent drying. Keep wet foods wet and dry foods from becoming scorched. Label containers with the date because memory is unreliable after a busy week. Also, pay attention to the container. Reheating in random plastic tubs, especially when the food is oily, can create another concern that has nothing to do with the food itself. Use containers labeled for heating or transfer food to glass or ceramic before warming. Cover the food loosely so steam can help heat it evenly, but allow pressure to escape. Stir halfway through microwave heating because hot and cold zones are common. Let the food stand for a minute after heating so the temperature can equalize. And remember, the refrigerator slows change. It does not stop time. Cold storage is not a pause button. It is a delay button. Bacteria grow more slowly, fats oxidize more slowly, and chemical reactions proceed more slowly, but none of these processes become zero. That is why "it was in the fridge" is not enough. You also need to know how long it was there, how fast it cooled before it went in, and whether it has already been warmed before. This is especially important in homes where one large meal becomes 3 or 4 reheated meals. The third reheating is not the same as the first serving. Every heating and cooling cycle adds another chance for texture damage, moisture loss, oxidation, and handling contamination. A better method is to freeze extra portions early while the food is still fresh, instead of letting a large batch sit in the refrigerator for days. Freezing is not perfect, but it can slow many quality and safety problems more effectively than extended refrigeration, especially when portions are sealed, dated, and thawed safely before being eaten. Now, let us review the 4 foods one more time. Rice. The main issue is improper cooling and storage. Bacillus cereus spores can survive cooking, and toxins may remain even after reheating. Cool rice quickly, refrigerate promptly, eat it soon, and reheat only once. Chicken. The main issue is harsh reheating of animal protein. High heat can increase oxidation and heat-related compounds. Store it well, reheat one portion gently but safely, add moisture, and avoid charring or drying. Spinach and nitrate-rich greens. The main issue is storage after cooking. Nitrates may convert into nitrites, and under certain conditions, nitrosamine formation becomes a concern. Eat cooked greens fresh when possible, or use leftovers cold and soon. Eggs. The main issue is repeated heat on yolk fats and cholesterol, plus quality loss in the proteins. Cook eggs fresh when possible, store hard-boiled eggs properly, eat them cold, and avoid microwaving scrambled eggs again and again. These are not extreme changes. They do not require expensive supplements. They do not require a special diet. They require attention. And this matters most for the people who rely on leftovers every day. Older adults, busy parents, students, shift workers, gym goers, and anyone meal prepping because life is demanding. Convenience is not the enemy. Poor storage and repeated aggressive reheating are the problem. So the next time you open the fridge and reach for leftovers, pause for 3 seconds. Ask, when was this cooked? How was it cooled? How long has it been stored? Has it already been reheated? Can I eat it cold? Can I warm only one portion gently and safely? Those questions can change the way you eat without making your life harder. Before we end, I want you to share this information with someone who reheats rice, chicken, spinach, or eggs often, not to scare them, not to make them throw away every leftover. Share it because most people were never taught this. They were taught that hot food is safe food. The truth is more nuanced. Hot food can still carry heat-stable toxins. Hot food can still contain oxidation products. Hot food can still reflect poor storage. Food is powerful. It can nourish the body, support energy, and protect long-term health. But the same food can become less beneficial when we handle it carelessly. The difference is often not complicated. It is timing, temperature, storage, and repetition. As always, this video is for education only. It is not personal medical advice, and it is not a diagnosis or treatment plan. If you have a medical condition, a weakened immune system, cancer history, digestive disease, pregnancy, or specific dietary restrictions, speak with your doctor or a registered dietitian before making major changes to your diet. For food safety questions, follow guidance from trusted public health agencies in your country. The goal is not fear. The goal is informed prevention. Cook fresh when you can, store carefully when you must, reheat wisely when needed, and never forget that some of the most important health decisions happen in ordinary moments, right in your own kitchen.